TV copy showed Caleb airing his frustrations on the sideline when things weren't going well. And how did you see him kind of fight through, the first 3 quarters that didn't go the way you guys wanted?
Yeah, I didn't see the TV copy of that or anything. I guess in general, a lot of what we talked about today was a lot of that stalling and a bit of the slow start was self-inflicted. A lot of things we can clean up, which is good because it's things that we can still improve on going into every single week. And so I think it's natural. We're all competitors that we get frustrated like that, but yeah, it's good fuel for the coming weeks as far as what we need to improve on.
What did you come away with the rewatch of trying to diagnose what went wrong in the red zone?
Yeah, I think certainly not like all one mistake like over and over again or anything, but I think the core of it is knowing exactly what we need to do and executing in those critical moments throughout the whole game. And like obviously it makes it more dramatic if we do it at the end, but like you can make it a lot easier on yourself doing that the whole time. And so I think that might be the core theme, but then it kind of manifested in different ways throughout. So yeah, just execution, preparation, understanding of what we're trying to do conceptually, as well as the specific looks we're looking for.
Speaking of dramatic, when Caleb makes throws like that 4th down throw to Roma Dunze, from your perspective, what can you see? Do you have to go back and rewatch that?
Yeah, I mean that stuff's all happening behind us, so like you kind of just see the ball. You're like, oh, well, that looked like a good throw, but you don't see the fact that he's like jumping and getting hit and throwing, all that. You see that after. Yeah, I mean that like there's no one we trust more with the game on the line to make those plays, and so it's awesome to have him.
Through Saturday night and yesterday, how did you wrap your brain around all of that happened in that game?
Yeah, I think Case Keenum had some good thoughts after one of our offensive meetings this morning, and just kind of all that stuff's really awesome, and it feels very emotional and significant, but none of that affects the next week. And so like that happens, you celebrate it, you enjoy all the positivity, but then very quickly, not to diminish it or anything like that, but you're like, all right, now the priority is the Rams, and you can't have a lull coming off a game like that or anything. So I think we're definitely transitioning to that.
How do you describe the high of leaving the stadium though with the way that 3 hours went?
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I definitely made it, I guess, difficult on ourselves, or at least made it close. So yeah, it's awesome just to celebrate with your teammates. So.
Be able to come off of an emotional win like that, though, like you were talking about, at least like flushing it and then being able to move on. I know Case obviously went through that with the Minneapolis Miracle. Did he relay any of what you do for the next week, or even from your own experiences, how you move past that to get ready for the Rams?
Yeah, that was the exact anecdote that he gave. I think it's just like mentally maybe not lingering. I can't say I'm like an expert on that or anything, but yeah, just moving on and kind of prioritizing like the next simple task. Like today it was all get our bodies moving, get kind of have a good lift, have a good flush, all those kind of things. So I think just focusing on like the next step in the process rather than thinking about those like really big broad things like an emotional win or like another big game or things like that, but just like, all right, today was Monday, I think. Yeah, Monday, and like what's the best Monday we can have, that kind of deal.
When Caleb does something remarkably athletic behind you, you don't see it. Does it sound different? Like, do you hear anything from the crowd that makes you go, oh, did something really special happen here?
I mean, on like that one is 4th and 9, so I think like any conversion would sounds really loud. So I don't know if I can really distinguish like those kind of things.
Yeah. On 4th and 3 or 4th and 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah, 100% on me. Just like trying to get a good jump on the cadence, and I anticipated poorly, and so I flinched, and yeah, false start.
You feel fortunate that you flinched there because the snap went.
Yeah, I didn't see that until after, which so yeah, I guess worked out in that way. Definitely, that's been an issue for me, and something I'm gonna clean up. So.
We've seen Ben usually very stoic after wins, but it seemed like this one obviously meant a lot more. What was your reaction to that, to him saying, F the Packers, all of those things?
Yeah, I mean, like you talked about earlier, like a moment like that, there's so much work and frustration throughout the course of a season, and like all those things kind of culminate in like one moment. And so like I think it's I don't know. I think it's good that we all express ourselves and stuff like that, and everybody's excited. As far as like anything else, I don't know. I don't place any like significance on any of it. It's just a lot of people are excited.
To see your head coach lean into the rivalry, because he said like this is a rivalry, it needs to be a rivalry between the two teams. To see it then on the biggest stage in the postseason come out this way, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's awesome to see. I mean, we have competitors all around the building, whether players, coaches, like equipment staff, everybody. And so I think when you see people like that, it drives that same spirit in you. And so I think it's really fun to have a coach that's fired up like that. And I think the guys feed off of it. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Ozzie got hurt in that.
The Packers were doing against you guys in the run game, especially early on.
Yeah, I think kind of back to what we were talking about earlier. I think there was certainly some schematic stuff on our end that we didn't execute properly. Me in particular, I definitely had a few things I need to clean up. And so I think that kind of played into a little bit of it. And then also just maybe like thematically, like the run game, I feel like tends to wear on teams. And so early on, when they're a little more fresh, like things, you don't maybe get quite as much movement on things like that. And then as over the course of the game, you kind of wear them down. Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway from watching it was we had things we need to clean up.
Do you have enough of a foundation laid in the run game from earlier in the season that you guys can kind of, I know this week's a totally different game, totally different team, but can you lean on some of the stuff to try to get some of that back, like knowing that it is possible, knowing you guys put up some big numbers in the run game earlier this year?
Yeah, I think even statistics or results aside, I think we're really happy with our process, and like that's been something that we know that when we have a good week, when we understand the concepts, when we're finishing well, when we're playing together, like that gives us all the confidence. I don't necessarily think of it as like, well, we've run it well in the past, so therefore we can do it in the future. I think we have a good process laid down.
With Ozzie getting hurt, what did he kind of add when he came in mid-season and sort of joined the starting lineup there at left tackle?
Yeah, we're really bummed to see Ozzie get hurt. Yeah, I think just a great guy and great teammate and player that like showed up every day, is ready to go. It's like unbelievably hard to step in as a rookie and play, particularly at left tackle. And so like just him handling that, I feel like was like a good piece for the O-line and kind of good for the culture. And so I think we will obviously expect the same from whoever steps in and all that. Yeah, just bummed for him.
Drew, what did you make of Theo Benedict's post route that he ran?
Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't even realize that happened, but good to see him moving out there. Yeah.
I know you played the Niners just a couple weeks ago, but is your dad looking at a potential Niners-Bears NFC title game? Has this come up yet?
No, I think like the Rams are so far like dominating our focus that that stuff's all in the future.
You've obviously gotten to know Joe throughout the course of this first season together. How have you seen him appreciate the victory here, knowing how much he's won in his career already?
Yeah, like awesome to celebrate with, and he enjoys every single one. He knows how hard they are to come by. But yeah, he's also really good at flushing it and knowing that the next week, like the other team doesn't care that you won, doesn't care that it was dramatic or anything. And so yeah, he's always ready to go, and that's why he's one of the best pros there are.
All good.
Thanks,
Drew.
Thank you.
And how did you spend the rest of your Saturday night after leaving school?
Your field and trying to process everything.
The great thing about it, I'm a family man, had a lot of family members here, so we went and got something to eat, kind of just chilled, reflect a little bit and just kind of took the moment in all together. So it was definitely good. I had people in town, but we definitely enjoyed ourselves for sure.
What's the conversation like trying to unpack everything that happened in the latter stages of that game?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has different perspectives just as far as, how they saw it, how I saw it. But honestly, I think more of the talk was just enjoyment, excitement, and just like it was for everybody, just the way you was feeling, I'm pretty sure everybody in my family was feeling like that, or if not 10 times more, like on cloud nine. But it was more so just unwinding and like, yo, can you really believe what just happened type stuff. But it was a good time, man, and we really had a great time with each other, and I wouldn't trade that moment for nothing.
So how in the world do you leave that behind now and focus on the next one?
Honestly, man, I've been this is my 8th year now. Like games like that, you're gonna remember your whole career, and then even when you retire, like these are type games that it's gonna go down in history books just as far as everything that went into it. You know what I mean? And just like even for our game, you know, we kind of talked about the New England game a little bit, and that's a game that's still being talked about now. So this is kind of like one of those type of games. But it the where we at right now though, you have to like move forward. You know what I mean? Like we've enjoyed it for a couple of days, but you know we got a game to get ready for this week. Great opponent coming in town, and so it's important that you know we have our enjoyment of the game, but at the same time, you know we got a bigger mission at hand, and you know we got to get ready to flip that page.
Giving you guys advice in the building today about, okay, we gotta move on. We gotta.
Yeah, I think that was, you know, probably one of the main reasons for coming in today, having meetings. You know what I mean? Obviously, everybody's excited, but the next game will be here before we know it. You know, luckily we play on Sunday this week instead of Saturday, so we still have that normal week schedule. But at the same time, Sunday will be here before we know it, and we got to get ready to change that, turn that page, get ready for the opponent that's coming in because they're a really good football team.
Tremaine, I'm sure you know what a playoff win over the Packers means to the organization and to the city and so on and so forth. Like, how does that compare to like when you were with the Bills and trying to beat Tom Brady and that rivalry between the Bills and Patriots?
I don't want to really get into the comparison between the two because it's two completely different things. You know what I mean? Just this being the oldest rivalry in football, and you know everything that's being put into that. Obviously, that was a rivalry as well, but it's two different things. You know, I will say though, just anytime you can win a playoff game, and particularly at the house, you know what I mean, in front of your own fans, against a rivalry team, no matter who it is. I mean, that's big. You know, within itself. So I will say just being able to maximize on that and being able to really just take all that in. You know what I mean? I tell the guys that, haven't had experience in the playoffs, like, listen, man, it ain't no guarantee you're gonna be back here next year. So you want to take full advantage of this opportunity. Like enjoy it, enjoy the time with one another, like give it all you got, whether that's during the week, whether that's on the field, because you never know. You know what I mean? This league is up and down and things happen, be a different team next year. But, I think the main thing is just enjoy it and just walk out that field with no regrets.
What's your reaction?
What was the most significant adjustment that the defense made at halftime that served you well to be able to shut them down in the second half?
Yeah, I think football, man, to win, and particularly in the playoffs, you have to be able to make those in-game adjustments. It's going to be things that, teams going to throw at you that you probably haven't seen on tape. And you got to be able to make those adjustments quick. The team that make those adjustments the quickest is usually the team that wins. And, I think DA just did a good job of, really just taking, what we did, what we didn't do the first half and kind of just, just turning it around like, listen, this is where we at. Nobody want to be down 21-3, but what we gonna do? So, I think the biggest thing is really, honestly, not so much scheme stuff, man. It's like looking at each other in the face like, listen, man, we ain't going out like this. And I think that's really the biggest thing, to be completely honest, is like, nah, like, let's do what we do. Let's play our brand of football. And when that clock hit 0, when however long it take, we're gonna like the results. And you know what I mean? That's what everybody did. We didn't flinch. Nobody put the blame on nobody. It was more so like, nah, like, let's go. Like, this what we in. We've been here before, and let's figure out a way to get the win.
What was your reaction to Ben saying F the Packers at the locker room?
Nah, it was definitely a turned up moment. Like you could just see the energy in the locker room. You know what I mean? Like everybody was like, okay, Ben got a little swag by himself. You know what I mean? But I mean, we all put a lot into this. You know what I'm saying? And to be able to, kind of just, act off your true emotions and your true personality. I mean, I think that's what it was for him. Hopefully, I don't know if he's having regrets about it or what, but I know the fans loved it. I know just everybody that about this rivalry that we've been talking about. It goes so far back, like there's a lot of emotion built up into it, and any time that you win in that fashion, like you got to show a little bit of emotion for sure.
It seemed like there was a lot of chatter even before the game and after the game with the Packers, kind of saying they're going to be back next week, and then after the game not giving you credit, saying this stuff that we did. I mean, can you admit that it's like personal on a certain level?
I mean, it's football, man. It's playoff football. These are the times that you dream of as a kid, playing against your rival, being under them lights, prime time, like the whole world watching, like, personal is what football is. You got to take everything personal on that football field. So I don't care who we playing. You know what I mean? That's how you got to attack the game, because at the end of the day, don't nobody care about none of these problems we got going on. When it's time to strap up, we got to go out there. We got to do our thing. So, it was just that type of game. And you felt that energy just when we walked in that tunnel. You know what I mean? Parking my car, I'm like, okay, it's time. Like, just the energy in the air. I mean, just you could feel it. And that's what you look forward to.
So if you watch that New England game, there are a lot of times when they rushed 4 or 5 players, sometimes more, on blitzes. What's the pluses and minuses of doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, rush somebody, you lose somebody in coverage, vice versa. I mean, it changed different things as far as scheme wise. As far as how that affects us, it really depends on the quarterback. It depends on the scheme that you want to, how you want to attack them, how they want to attack us. Obviously, you look at how they are versus pressure. How aren't they versus, if you sit back in coverage and then you figure out as a scheme, as a team, what we want to do to affect the offense.
I mean, what do you make of this Rams offense and the weaponry they've obviously have?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, big time offense. You know what I mean? Matthew Stafford's playing, big time ball as he always does. A lot of respect for him. He's been playing on a high level for a long time. Obviously, weapons in the passing game. Running backs are real good. O-line's good. I mean, they have a talented roster. So we got to do a good job, man. Really looking at the film, seeing how they want to attack us, and definitely make sure we execute at a high level.
Watch much of them yet?
I mean, just the games that I kind of seen on TV. To be honest, man, it's Monday. I enjoyed the win. Obviously, yesterday, kind of just sitting back watching some ball. But as today kind of goes, I kind of look at some film and really get started today for sure.
Man, what was your perspective? Go ahead.
Sorry. Last play of the game, all the DBs and then you. What was the talk in the huddle? What was your mindset? What was going through your head as that play seemingly lasted forever?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, man, we gotta figure out a way to, make sure they don't catch the ball or however it is. I think that was more so what was going through my head was execute and worried about my assignment because, when you get to critical times like that, you want to make sure you're doing your 111. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get my eyes caught up in what somebody else is doing just because now I lose my coverage and my man and my responsibility. So I think in the huddle it was more so like, listen, let's lock in a couple more seconds, man. Let's do what we need to do. Let's not get all the way down here and then feel bad about it after the game. So I think more the message was let's just make sure we lock in and make sure we get the job done.
What was your Jacobs to less than a yard in the second half? What was the key to that, and what can you apply to the Rams running game?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just did a good job executing. The guys up front dominated the line of scrimmage. I think that's really just the message moving forward. We got to win up front. Us as linebackers got to do our thing as far as coming downhill, and we got to fill, in the secondary. I mean, it's all three levels. You know what I mean? I think we preach that day in, day out, week in, week out. So I think that's what the message is, making sure that we win that line of scrimmage battle and doing a good job of just everybody to the ball. You know what I mean? Get all 11 people and make sure we swarm.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, I'm about to say, got to get my man this time.
Caleb's throw to Rome on fourth down. What was your perspective of it from the sideline?
Yeah, I was on the side. Obviously, it's fourth down. Everybody on their feet. I'm like, yo, see what you got. He called him Ice, man. Let me see what you got, my boy. But, I mean, just kind of seeing it and, even looking at the replay, I mean, you really appreciate, athletes like that, quarterbacks like that, that's willing to lay it on the line for his teammates. That's really what I thought about it. Like, I mean, going back, feet off the ground and just, like, listen, I'm going to put this ball where I'm going to make a play. You know what I mean? And obviously none of that get accomplished if the O-line wasn't blocking, giving him the time. If Rome didn't run his route, the timing wasn't there. I mean, he ran right underneath it, you know what I mean? And that's the type of stuff that you want, and particularly those young guys, you know what I mean? Caleb never played an NFL playoff game, and to be able to rise to the moment and, put on the line for his team, man, I got a ton of respect for that. Guys in the locker room got a ton of respect because, I mean, he had that fight in his eye, that kill in his eye, and I knew he wasn't going to be defeated.
Is there an element too that if that's an incomplete pass, that might be it?
I don't like speaking off if. We won the ball game. It happened, so we don't even need to talk about no if.
What do you remember about Stafford from week 4 last year?
Yeah, I mean, I do remember we was able to get the win. That's the most important thing. But obviously, he's a quarterback that's been around the league a long time. He's seen everything. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's more so what it is. That's what the message is gonna be like. Let's make sure that we execute. You know what I mean? As far as trying to, dictate the offense, whatever that scheme. Like I said, we haven't gotten to game plan, but just going into it, like I said, a lot of respect for him, and we just got to make sure we execute at a high level.
Tremaine, back to Caleb for a second. Psychologically, what does it do for a defense to have that guy on your side? I imagine there's not a lot of quarterbacks that down 21-3 at half. You feel like, all right, we're still in this.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, man, anytime you got somebody like that with the ball in their hands, like it does give you a sigh of relief, but not to the point that it's like, let's back off. It's like, nah, like, let's get this guy this ball in his hand again. You know what I mean? Like, let's figure out a way to make it stop. And that was just the message the whole second half. Like, listen, this position that we in, we got to steal possessions. We got to get the ball back to our offense, and they was going to make something happen. And that's really what it was for on the defensive side. It's like, listen, man, these boys going to get rolling. We know once Caleb get it, you know, third, fourth quarter, you know, the offense, those guys, they fiending for that. You know what I mean? So I think the message was like, let's figure out ways to get stops, get these boys the ball, and let them do their thing. So I think that's definitely what it is. And you know, we just sit back, we watch the show just like everybody else because you know we on the bench at that time. There's nothing that we could do, and it's just more so like you know putting trust in one another. They trust us to go out there and get a stop. We trust them to go out there and score touchdowns, and that's what happened. And we was able to get the win.
What's your favorite play from the game last night, or a couple nights ago?
About to say, so your mind working like mine. My favorite play, man, that's a tough one, man. I mean, you know, anytime you win like that, it's like, which one? But probably the one we keep talking about with Caleb, that was definitely a big time play. I'm a defensive guy. I got to give some of the credit to the defense. So, I mean, just some of the, you know, 3 and outs, you know, I think the D-line did a good job. You know, Tez, you know, he stood out to me. You know, Booker stood out to me just as far as getting that constant pressure. So it's kind of hard just, you know, going through and hand picking play by play because it was so many plays that resulted in us getting the win and so many different guys that had a hand in that. And, you know, it'd be like I would be feeling like I'm disrespecting the guy just because, you know what I mean, everybody really had a big hand in it. And, man, we had a lot of big time plays that was able to give us over that hump for sure.
What do you say to TJ, you know, who can't participate in the rest of the way? And then what do you also say to the rest of your linebacker group without him?
Yeah, you know, first, you know, I just want to say I got a ton of respect for TJ. You know what I mean? He's been fighting all year. You know what I mean? It's just been one of those type of years that, you know, God got a bigger plan for him. You know, obviously what happened to him early in the season, you know, him battling to come back. And, you know, obviously this happened to him. I know there's nobody else on the team, nobody else in the world would want to be out there with his guys more than him. We talk every day. That's my brother. You know what I mean? We came in together and just the bond and relationship that we built with one another. You know, I feel that for him. You know what I mean? Just because I know how much work he put into it. But I do know a guy like that, he's going to bounce back from it. He handles adversity the best that I've seen. You know what I mean? And, you know, I got a lot of respect for him and definitely praying for a speedy recovery. So definitely that in that regard.
Tremaine, did you guys look at the fumbles that you weren't able to recover from Saturday?
Yeah, I think anytime you playing a big time opponent, you look at the missed opportunities as much as you want to celebrate the wins. It's like, nah, listen, this is what we could have really maximized off of just as far as the opportunities that was presented. And definitely when you playing these type of games in the playoffs, you want to make sure you maximize off that. So